Volume is a very debated topic in the fitness industry, even though it's actually not even that important. And so before answering the question about how many sets you should do per week, first let's dig into intensity, because we actually need to talk about that to identify how many sets we'll need per week. Because intensity is way more important for muscle growth than volume. So first you will need to dial that in. This specifically is something I changed my mind upon, because I used to do a lot more volume and I didn't train as intensely as I do now. Because I used to do like 2-3 RIR, which was, I thought it was that, but it was actually way more. Who would have thought? But now I'm doing mostly either 2 failure or just maybe 1 rep shy of failure, and it works like a charm. And I will tell you to do the same. Do everything to failure, okay? Except for maybe stuff that kills you. Stuff like bench press, squats, and also very fatiguing movements like a deadlift, Romanian deadlift against squat. You can keep a rep or 2 in the tank with those, but not with anything else. And this applies especially to stuff like arms and shoulders, because there, if you're doing a lateral raise, there's literally no point in stopping before failure. Same thing with bicep curls. Take that shit to failure. And a lot of people somehow still don't grasp what failure is, okay? When you cannot do another rep, when you're trying and it just doesn't get up, that's when you failed, okay? When you're trying here and you give up, that's not failure. When you're trying, and it just doesn't come and it starts lowering and you just simply cannot do another rep, that was failure. And only after this comes a volume, which in my opinion should be the minimum amount that you grow from. Which, if you do things right, will be surprisingly low. And if now you're like, well, I'm not sure about it and isn't more better, it might be, but it might not be. And honestly, if you're progressing, you don't really need to change anything. Everything is good, okay? You're progressing. More is not always better, and also you will do more later, because your volume will not always stay the same, and your volume will be different for you, and the postman's volume will also be different, and mine will also be different, because we're all different and we need different amounts of volume. That's why just saying an arbitrary number doesn't really help that much. Now, a pretty good convenience of doing minimum volume is you never have to think about, should I increase my volume or should I decrease my volume when things are not going well, because you will know that the only way to go is up. And another reason why that's good is because you know exactly what you need to do when you hit a plateau. You need to increase your sets. But okay, when did you run into a plateau? When should you actually increase your sets? I think everybody will have a different answer for that, but my answer is that if I don't have progress for 4 consecutive weeks, I'm in the plateau and I need to increase my sets. But wait. Let's say week 1 I'm doing a dumbbell preacher curl with, I don't know, like 13 kilograms for 10-9-9. Week 2, same weight, 10-9-9. Week 3, same weight, 10-9-9. Week 4, same weight, 10-10-9. I'm good to go, I don't need to change anything. However, if on week 4 I do 10-9-9 again, that's like no progress for 4 consecutive weeks in a row, I will take a look at, did I mess up with my sleep, my diet, or was I sick? If none of these happened, I will look at my other exercises for the same muscle group. Is my other bicep exercise going well? If that one's progressing, still I wouldn't add a set. But when I see that none of my exercises for that specific muscle group are progressing and I was doing everything well, then I'm going to increase my number of sets. But there's no crazy increase, okay? I will increase it with probably 1, maybe 2, but I would recommend 1 instead. So what I want you to do now is, if you train most of your muscle groups twice a week because you're doing an upper lower or a push-pull leg split or something like that, start doing only 1 to 2 sets per muscle group per session. If you're a complete beginner, I think you can safely start with 1 set per session, even though it sounds pretty low and it probably won't work for a long time, but then you can just increase to 2. And then if you've been training already for like half a year, then just start at 2. There's really just no reason for you to start at 1, and push every single set to complete failure. Again, except for exercises that kill you. And then do that for a couple of weeks, and on every single muscle group where you see no progress, increase it by 1. And do this as long as you need to see progress in every muscle group. And when you're done with that, you know your minimum. Congratulations. And from now on, if you ever get stuck, you can just use the 4 weeks of no progress in a row method to identify when you need to increase volume. Will this be the most optimal? maybe not, but you don't need to optimize everything. That's a skewed mindset. But you will be progressing, and if you follow this method, you will be progressing forever. Because you're not gonna be doing junk volume all the time and burning yourself out with fucking 20 sets per session. And also, you will spare a lot of your time. And you can use that time to watch this video about how to 10x your productivity.